Hey all, stand-up gamer here, and I want to talk about some of the tools that I feel like every 3D printer should have, and this side cutter is one of them. It has saved a lot of my prints so far because it's able to help me remove like supports or cut out pieces that don't belong, like boogers or stringing. And overall for 3D printing for FDM, this has been a really awesome tool to have. I've also been really lucky that my friend lent me this cutter that he has. It's the Wondercutter S, and essentially it is a blade that goes to like 40,000 hertz. And so essentially it's almost like a little mini lightsaber. Like I was saying, the blade vibrates at like 40,000 times a second. And essentially it's like a super micro vibrator that can really just cut through anything. The manual says it can cut through plastic, PVC foam board, vacuum forming materials, EVA foam, paperboard, rubber, leather, and all sorts of other plastics. The only thing you can't really do is like metal and ceramics, I believe. The overall unit is broken up into the main part of the device that holds like the batteries along with some of the circuitry. But the bread and butter is this handle with a blade. And it's nice, it has a little cradle for it so that when you're not using it, it can be safe. And then it does come with a blade, but it's always good to have extra blades with you as well. And like I said, you can use it wirelessly. It does have batteries inside it, but right now I have it plugged in. And basically all you have to do is turn it on by holding the button there. And then this blade should be ready to go. And all you do is press the button. And it might be a little hard to hear, but you can hear it vibrating. You can't see it with the naked eye, but this blade will actually vibrate at 40,000 times per second. It's kind of wild. So if you can imagine, it's like basically scoring the surface of like whatever you're cutting at 40 times per second. So right now you're seeing me just score this without the motor on, but when I do turn it on, it literally just cuts through it like it's butter. So you saw me just do that, and the cuts are fairly clean. This is PETG that's clear, and it's fairly thick. I think it's around 0.6 millimeters or more, because that's how thick my hot end is. But it can cut through plastic, and it can easily cut through cardboard. I'm barely putting any pressure on there, by the way. And this should get it out. And as you can see, it cut through that stuff like butter. I know you can do that with a really sharp X-Acto knife, but it's hard to imagine it without actually using the device, but this is so much easier. There's no pressure you have to put on so your fingers don't get tired. So if you're doing a lot of cutting for cardboard, this device makes things so much easier. So it's supposed to cut EVA foam pretty well too. So if you're doing cosplay, you can use this blade and it'll be really helpful. What I really like about it for 3D printing is if you have any corrections you need to make, for instance, the blade comes in super handy. I have this 5mm thick print here that if I needed to cut something off of it, it'll make it so much easier to do than doing it by hand. So you saw how easy it was to cut, but there are some limitations to it. Because the blade is vibrating at like 40,000 hertz, obviously when you have something moving that fast, you will create some heat in the area. So the device itself will also get hot because of all the voltages and whatnot. However, the blade, when in contact with materials like plastic, if you stay in one spot too long, it actually can melt the object, kind of like what it did here. So not only did it cut through it, but it kind of melted through it too. And so you will have some residual plastic on the tip after you've done some cutting. But it doesn't really like impede how well it works. And you will notice that sometimes the plastic pieces do stick to the blade. And I think that's understandable considering this thing moves at 40,000 times per second. And that's going to cause some heat. But it's actually easy enough to clean off. You can just take some cardboard and just pierce it through. And then voila, your blade's clean again. If you have some stubborn supports or posts you want taken off, the blade cuts them off pretty easily. And again, it's as easy as cutting it through some cardboard to clean it off. It's really nice. I'm barely putting any pressure on this thing. And you can do curb cuts too. So like I mentioned in the beginning, I do have a friend that's super nice who lends me a lot of stuff, and this is one of the items he lets me borrow, and I think it's such a fantastic tool. Now, would I buy one for myself? I think I would. I did look up the price for one of these. They are not cheap, but if you do as much 3D printing as I do with like prototyping, I think it's a very valuable tool to have in your arsenal. But I also like hoarding stuff, so maybe I'm not the best judge of that. Bottom line is, if you require a lot of cutting through materials that are usually hard to cut with normal blades, this is a very nice tool to have. And I really gotta thank my friend for letting me borrow this thing. He lends me a lot of stuff. Thanks, Vince. If you want to see more of this tool in action, like you want me to test something specifically, let me know in the comments. But I also would like to know, would this be something you'd be interested in adding to your tools for 3D printing? Either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.